Welcome to this week's America with an Accent. Christmas is almost here and festivities, lights and trees have already brought holiday cheer. The tradition of decorating Christmas trees started in Germany and Baltic states and today is a worldwide tradition. Here in Omaha, the Durham Museum is the place to be at this time of the year. A big tree adorns the whole of the museum, surrounded by 12 small cultural trees representing 12 countries and regions from around the world. Jessica Brummer, the Director of Marketing and Public Relations, walks us through the process of Christmas tree selection, tells us about the cultural exhibition, and shares with us the story behind the big tree this year. Omahans have two more angels looking after them this holiday season.
We are sitting in the original Union Station in Omaha. It was operated as a train station from 1931 until 1971. And then we reopened as a museum in 1975. During the time that it was a train station, this tradition started, and Christmas at Union Station was something Union Pacific started. They used to actually bring the tree in from the Pacific Northwest via train to the station, bring it in and decorate it and have a community celebration. So when the museum reopened in this building, we decided that we wanted to carry on that tradition that Union Pacific started. Only difference being we harvest the tree locally as opposed to bringing it in by train. We try to take something that's at least 45 feet tall. We do have the ceilings in here are about 65 feet, so we have some wiggle room there, but most of the trees that we get submitted are about 45 or taller. It has to have one straight single trunk. Something that some people don't know is that our tree is actually suspended from the ceiling. We have a system up in our attic that hangs the tree. So in order to get the right safety, it has to have one trunk at the top. And sometimes when these blue spruce trees get really tall, their trunk will split. So that's another requirement. And then just the overall health of the tree, something that's in good condition.
When do you start the search for a good tree?
Well, honestly, it kind of never stops. We have people that call year-round to nominate their tree. We officially go out and look at them all in August. So we're looking at Christmas trees in the heat of summer.
Like, yes.
And this year that list had about 60 trees on it. So we divide it up amongst the staff. We go out and look at them all. We take photos, and then we narrow it down, and Union Pacific makes the final selection.
Requests for this year, were they all from the Omaha area or throughout the state of Nebraska?
We have gone as far as we had several in Fremont. We had actually some in Council Bluffs, so across the river too. We've had them as far south as Lincoln. So, mostly in the eastern part of the state, but definitely outside of Omaha proper for sure, yeah. This year we harvested the tree on November 12th, so we start very early in the morning. Union Pacific cuts down the tree, they put it on a semi-truck. The Omaha Police Department provides us an escort down to the museum. And then meanwhile, our team here has the doors taken off the end and we hook it to a truck and pull it in. In my time here, and from predecessors, this is one of the tallest ones we've ever had. This one is about 50 feet tall, and we actually had to cut about 6 feet off the bottom just to get it on the truck and down to the museum. So it would have been even taller, but this is definitely one of the bigger ones we've had. Yeah, so we water it just like you water your tree at home. Ours gets watered in a horse tank. That's how we keep the water because the trunk is so large, but our team puts fresh water on it every week. We put a lot on it at the beginning because it drinks a lot of water those first few days, but you can tell that it stays pretty healthy. This one, I know you can't on camera, but you can still smell kind of the freshness of it, so They usually stay pretty healthy throughout the season. Yeah, it takes about a day for the harvest itself, and then we have the team from Union Pacific and Mangelson's spend about 4 days putting all the lights and decorations on it as we prepare to have it up for the season. And every year they try and add some new elements to it, but a lot of these are reused from year to year. We have lots because we never know how big the tree's going to be, okay. So we have lots of extra too, in case that. And then the lights, we actually just switched to LED lights, so they last longer. Yeah, usually it's somewhere north of 200 and about 1,500 feet of lights. But again, depending on how big, more or less. So the tree stays up all season long through January 6th. So plenty of time to come down and see it. And then when we're done, our team undecorates the tree, and then the city of Omaha actually comes and they mulch it, and that stuff is used throughout the city and parks and things like that. So we like to think that it lives on after us too. Well, we usually don't know those stories prior to picking the tree, but yes, usually we find out that, you know, someone's father planted the tree, or it's been in a home that's been in a family for a very long time, something like that. This year in particular, once the tree was chosen, I contacted the family and found out their story, which is quite different. They actually, the family is Jay and Kelly and Contro. They live here in Omaha. They actually decided to donate the tree in memory of Kelly's 2 young daughters, Jordan and Taylor Pedroza, who were tragically killed in a car accident just before Christmas about 8 years ago. And they referred to the girls as their angels, and that they loved Christmas. It was their favorite time of year. So this is what they wanted to do to honor their memory, and we were honored that they wanted us to be part of that. So we decided to put 2 angels at the top of the tree this year to help them honor the girls, just as something special. This year, obviously, very, very touching story, but when you have a tradition like Christmas at Union Station and you have this beautiful tree and then you add that layer on top of it, I think it's something that people can bring their families and help this family to honor their daughters in a special way.
Besides the big tree here at the museum, you do have another section which is called the Cultural Tree Exhibition. What is that and how did it start?
Yeah, so we have had our holiday cultural trees, which are tiny versions of the trees, for, oh gosh, over 20 years now. And it originally started with a way to sort of get groups in Omaha to show others maybe how their cultures celebrate Christmas or what their holiday traditions are. We just thought that was an important story to tell. This is a history museum. We're all about telling our region's heritage, and so why not let different groups talk about that?
Are they really different the way they are decorated?
They are very, very different, and we have some that are here year after year, but we get some new ones too. You have, you know, the big, bold colors and flowers of the Mexican tree versus, you know, the old traditional ornaments from some of the European countries. So they are vastly different, but the groups are really proud of them, and we find that people, it's a centerpiece. It's something to talk about. You know, why do people celebrate Christmas different ways? What are different traditions? And it's kind of just a lovely exhibit that we never really intended to have for this many years, but it's been so popular that we just keep bringing it back.
The Durham Museum is the place to learn history and meet people from around the world. These are the reasons why Laurette Hess, a French-American, volunteers her time at the museum for 12 years now. Laurette shares with us her great life story here in the United States, confessing that the lack of people walking in the streets at first was rather unusual. We bring to you the story of Laurette, the foreigner who got lost in the streets of Omaha with no one to turn to for help. Well, this happened some 20 years ago. Bonjour, Miss Laurette.
Bonjour.
Can you tell us where you're from?
I'm from France, a city, Orléans. It's 50 miles from Paris.
And now you're in Omaha.
Yes, I've been in Omaha for many, many years. I'm more, now I can say Omaha is my home more than France because I've been here for 28 years and more.
How did you end up in Omaha? What brought you to Omaha?
My husband is from Chicago and he came here. Well, I met him in Europe and he came here to finish school. He went to Creighton and were in Omaha and we decided to stay in Omaha.
Do you get to go back to France that often? Do you still have family there?
Oh, yes, all my family are there. But yes, I used to go home quite a lot. But now I lost my parents, so I don't go as much as I used to.
What has been the hardest to get accustomed to here in the United States and Omaha in particular?
Your winters. Your winter are still, for me, not the best. But no, the culture, at the beginning, the culture was different from our culture. But I noticed that in different years, a lot of things change in the United States. You know, your cultures change. They begin to take more culture from Europe, like the food, especially the food. So,
Why are you here at the museum? What do you do here?
well, I'm on a board, a woman board, the guild board, and what we do is we raise money for the museum, and I just like to volunteer on the side because it's a great, great place. It's a fantastic, beautiful, full of history, and it's a nice feeling to help a place like this who has so much history. And it's fun to meet so many people from all around the world come here to see these beautiful places.
You said that you studied in Sorbonne, which is a great university. You studied in Switzerland and Italy. What was your major?
English history.
That's why you're here.
Yes, that is why, because I love history.
You like history. Now, Miss Lorette, you said that you've been here for 28 years
Yes,
and more.
because I was traveling back and forth, so.
Do you feel you are an American or a French person?
Honestly, I'm American. Now I feel like I'm an American
What makes you feel American?
because America give me so much in many different ways. It gave me, when I came here, I was lost. But the one who touched me the most was people will come and help you. Try to do anything for me to make me feel like part of this country.
When you go to Europe, do you feel like you belong there as well, or it's mainly I want to go home, I want to go back to the United States?
Well, I love to go home because I see my family, but I will never live there again. I mean, I love to go on vacation, see my family because it's a beautiful place, but it's so a good feeling to come back here.
Is there something that is still with you?
Well, you see, in Europe, we walk everywhere. And when I came here, you have to drive to go any place, especially in the winter. And I got lost. And I was looking for people on the street to ask the direction and couldn't find anyone because nobody was walking then. Now people walk. So I finally had to stop a police car. Wave, stop, because I was lost and I wanted to go back home. So that's what reminded me in my mind. So I studied map very well after that.
Was that in Omaha or in Chicago?
No, it was in Omaha.
You were lost in Omaha?
Oh, yes, I was lost. It's easy for me to get lost.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Lorette, and happy Merry Christmas.
To you too, and it was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. How would you say Merry Christmas in French?
Joyeux Noël
And
et bonne année.
and in other languages that you speak?
Buon Natale, Feliz Navidad.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, of course, of course.
Lorette is not the only one missing people walking in the streets of Omaha. The following segment is the second part of the exchange between Joe Janowski and myself as part of the Outsider Insider Talk. Walking, although better than 28 years ago, is still a missing element in a foreigner's take on Omaha's lifestyle.
One of the things that I noticed early on was that people here in Omaha and in Las Cruces, New Mexico, there's not that many people walking in the streets, and that was a surprise, the element of people in the street. I mean, to the point that my husband said, cars are the people here.
Yeah.
Cars are the people. But
Right.
that was a little, you know, where is the people, I would ask. I want to see the people.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
did you notice that difference when you traveled? Because between the amount of walking that is here in the city or people do here in the city or not
Well,
really?
I can't say that I was over there enough to really notice, but I mean, it's interesting to work with you and that for you to say how you miss people walking, and so I hadn't even thought about that. And you said like here in the old market where you get a lot more foot traffic, and that felt more European to you, that you could look out your window. And then it's interesting that you would probably feel less lonely, I would think, less isolated if you saw people walking rather than cars driving by.
That was one of the main reasons I wanted to go back to work, actually, because I stayed home with my kids for a period of time, for 5 years, and it's just the element of people. And I am from a very crowded place, you know, Albania. It's the size of Maryland, the density, I don't know how many people, I mean, it's very dense, and it's an urban area. It's like a big market. The whole country is the big old market, and the old market is the downtown here in Omaha, is like the where people go to enjoy a glass of wine and have a nice dinner, and it's close to the river. So I come from this place, Albania, where all you do was walk. Actually, we didn't have cars during communism, so there was no other choice but walking. And I come over here, and there's no people. And I recall myself taking the kid to the neighborhood park, and it was in the morning, mid-morning. It was like a ghost town, you know, no people, no cars. It's just me and the kid. And you're right, having people around makes you feel like you're alive. I don't know. And I still at times I do miss that. I mean, I've gotten used to the idea of that I need a car for even buying some bread or salt or eggs. I've gotten used to that idea. But when I go to Europe, I feel good that I don't really need to drive a car. I can just walk for a minute, and the store is right there, and I can buy whatever I want. Even my kids notice that, especially this past summer.
What's the attitude towards the elderly? Because I think maybe my grandparents' generation, you stayed in touch through your grandparents. You lived in the same area and took care of them. And, you know, now, is your experience coming to America, did you see that? Like that the families are spread out? You don't take care of your grandparents necessarily. Was that a change for you?
It was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where this nursing home idea has originated, or how long has been with the society, but in Albania it's fairly new, and I know that it's not an easy decision back in Albania to put your parents in a nursing home. Usually it's the youngest of the family that stay with the parents, the youngest boy, the youngest son, actually, yeah. That used to be the tradition, but I'm sure now things have changed there in Albania too. So, yeah, but it was a surprise. But then I went and visited nursing homes, and they are very fine places.
How about, though, I mean, just respect for the wisdom of the elders. I don't feel that just a whole lot in this country is it different in Albania. Kind of this reverence almost, I mean, for, just the wisdom that years bring. I think in our country now, and there's so much shame, almost shame about being old, right?
I don't know about that. I don't know if I feel the shame, but in Albania and in the Balkans, I do think that there is still respect for the elder, for the wisdom, as you say. Doesn't necessarily mean that here they don't respect it either. Here in the United States, there is a given. Basically, you don't have a choice. The parent's going to be with you, and you will listen to that wisdom. It's more of a have to thing. Exactly. Well, here is more of a choice.
Yeah.
When I introduced the show, and a friend of mine, Sally from New Mexico, she was excited that she sent me an email, and she said, "Can you please talk about phone numbers?" Because she said it's really confusing to her when numbers are read in twos. What do I mean? Let's say the phone number, my phone number is 402-714-5380. According to Sally, and I relate to that because I think this is how I used to say that too. I used to go 40271453, etc. So that was. Did you notice that, Joe?
No, I didn't.
You haven't noticed that? Well, when I met you, it was like, what, 10 years in the United States? Yeah, so.
Yeah.
This is Joe Janowski, and I have another portrait of Joe Janowski. Joe not only is a big reader and a good reader, but he is a good painter as well. This is what I found on my computer screen, my last day of work with the Omaha World Herald.
I don't know if that qualifies as a good. See, you said painting. It's drawing.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
drawing. Yes. See the difference. Yes, but it was a good one, and I walked in, and he had missed me. I don't know. I was gone that day, or I was late. I don't remember. And it's not the first time Joe does that. Here is Jeannie. Jeannie.
That's our boss.
That's our former supervisor. So I have a collection of Joe's drawing. Jeannie and Joe had traveled to Hawaii. Her husband's name is Joe as well. So they had traveled, I think it was Hawaii, but I don't remember exactly where. And that day, usually I came in at 10 because I always worked part-time at the paper. And that morning when I came in and our boss was not there, the supervisor, this was on my computer screen, and right next to my computer was Jeannie's portrait with Joe, the family, the couple's portrait, and the message was that although she is gone,
She's watching.
she's watching. Good days we had there,
Yeah,
didn't we?
we had some good days.
Yes. Well, thank you, Joe, for being here
You're
today.
welcome, Kayla.
All right. It was fun.
It was fun.
All right. And now, letters to Andy. Dear Andy, greetings from Omaha. Christmas is in the air, and it is a wonderful time of the year. A Christian holiday, Christmas has become a great celebration for many. Here in Omaha at the Durham Museum, we have a great tradition that started some 20 years ago. Besides the big, over 50-foot tall tree, there are 12 cultural trees on display, representing 12 countries and regions around the world. Walking through that exhibition was fun. Each tree has a short description of that country's tradition. Here is what I learned. All nations like food. There is no questions about that. Some have a 12-dish meal, some eat fish, and all of them have symbolic trees ornaments that reflect harvest or the country's tradition. In Japan, Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, is the meal of the day. The Kentucky Christmas meal orders are placed months in advance. In Ukraine, you get to celebrate Christmas twice, on December 25th and on January 7th. Also, you eat 12 meatless courses and collage. Greeks never forget the sea. Even the tree ornaments look like boats. St. Nicholas inspired Santa Claus, but also he is the patron saint of sailors. Poles. Poles must clean the house thoroughly before Christmas Eve. Otherwise, the house is doomed to be dirty for the rest of the year. Lithuanians fear bad luck too. All 12 dishes of different fish, vegetables, and sweets should be tried by everyone to avoid bad luck. Welsh has a solution to that. A skeleton horse head carried on a stick wearing white sheet and wreath is brought to every house for good luck. The Mexicans eat turkey and chocolate and tamales and pozoles. They also attend a Christmas mass known as Misa de Gallo, the Mass of Rooster. Czechs not only prepare gingerbread cookies that became popular in the Czech Republic some 700 years ago, but they also decorate the tree with cookie ornaments made out of flour, water, and vinegar. Colombians have a 9-day-long celebration leading up to Christmas Day when families gather for food, music, and prayers daily. Germany and Baltic states are to thank for today's Christmas tree tradition. Germans also open their presents on Christmas Eve, otherwise known as Full Belly Eve. And the Scandinavians have goat-shaped ornaments symbolizing harvest or representing the stead of the Nordic god Thor. Hear this, Andy. Thor is also thought to be a prankster who brings laughter to each house that he visits. And lastly, Andy, the American tradition, the American tree, outside the museum. Since Nebraska's earliest days as a territory, each new immigrant family brought their food, skills, and dreams to create the Nebraskan identity we know today. Each tree presented here is decorated in the custom of a homeland that was left but never forgotten. I can't say it better. Indeed, Andy, it is the most wonderful time of the year. Till next time, Enkela. This was America with an Accent for this week. Hope to see you again next week here on KPAO TV or online at our newamerikansmedia.com Facebook page and NAM YouTube channel. Have a nice week. I am Enkela Vebio.